Welcome to JWL Sports, where we review all the best sports clips from around the country. Now, you're probably wondering, why should I watch over here instead of over there? Because over there, they don't care about what you have to say. They say this all the time. They don't read the comments. They talk down to us. They think we're just a bunch of clowns on YouTube, Twitter. But I think it's the opposite. I think we know exactly what we're talking about. So I read every single comment. So if you think what I'm saying is the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard, let me know in the comments below. If you think what I'm saying is the most amazing thing, then definitely please let me know. Either way, let's get into some discussions, let's get into some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and it's turning into something truly, truly special. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. So without further ado, let's get into it. We're watching a clip from The Herd with Colin Cowherd, and talking about the Debo list 49ers equals the Raiders. Not exactly sure where he's going with this. So let's just let it run and see what he's about to say. I assume it's obviously, well, no, because it's Debo list. I was thinking maybe it was going to be more things about Purdy, but I don't know. Let's see.
So according to the latest report, Debo Samuel has no fracture, but that totally unique player is up in the air for the championship. So when you view the Niners, don't we view them as creative and unpredictable and clever? They are with Debo. But I'll argue when you take Debo out of the Niners, they're actually a very traditional offense with one deep receiver, an old school physical tight end, and a dominant running back. Think about this. With Debo, the Niners win 70% of their games. Without Debo, they're the Raiders.
So think about that. I mean, that's really telling right there. And that's with different quarterbacks as well. So if that's not further proof of Brock Purdy not necessarily being the reason why they have their success, if the sheer fact that Garoppolo had all this success, wasn't enough. But this right here to me really, really illustrates this. And I don't love these types of graphs so much because sometimes they can be really misleading. I mean, you really got to go look and say like, okay, they're 8 and 9, but like, who were they playing? What was the circumstance? And I don't remember every single game Debo missed, like I'm just not diving into the weeds. And quite frankly, neither is Colin, they had a meeting where he said, hey, what's the record without Debo? And they said, oh, it's actually 8 and 9. And look, they play worse. And it's like, okay, great. Make a graphic of that and we'll talk about it. I guarantee you that's as far as it went. You're not actually like looking at the tape and digging deep. So, but I do think it's worth mentioning and it's highlighting. And this is why I keep saying, I'm a broken record here, but this is why I keep saying players matter. So again, stop telling me that players don't matter, that it's always next man up, or it doesn't matter that there's injuries. You got to find a way to win. Or, oh, Patrick Mahomes hasn't been benefiting from these great weapons or great coaching, or, Brock Purdy's not benefiting from great weapons and great coaching. And it's just like, what? Like, what are we talking about here? Like, of course, all this stuff matters. And I don't understand why this is such a common argument right now. I mean, I get it because that's what coaches try to say to you. That's what coaches try to emphasize to you. But then ask yourself, why do coaches so often play favoritism to the elite players? Is it because coaches actually know that those players really matter and they're the ones that actually carry the team to success? Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
8 and 9 with a star receiver, a dominant running back, a really good left tackle, and a quarterback who you don't trust, and a great edge rusher. Think I'm joking. What do the Raiders have? Max Crosby, Devontae Adams, great left tackle, star running back. Colin, that's actually accurate. And the Raiders are in a tougher division, arguably.
Okay, but they have an inferior coach. That's obvious. And they have an inferior quarterback. Although that quarterback, I think it's the same quarterback now, outdueled Brock Purdy. Even though the 49ers won that game, people want to point to that game as Brock Purdy coming back and winning. Brock Purdy was literally outdoor. I forget the exact stats, but I got in an argument with someone in the comments below, and it was he had like lower pass per attempt, lower averages, lower QBR, like lower everything. But it, the 49ers won, so people see that as a victory
and a tougher conference
for Purdy.
Christian McCaffrey's the best player. Debo's the X factor. Without Debo, they're 8-9. Those are the numbers in the NFC. I'm looking at them right now. With Debo, they average 27 a game. Without Debo, 24. And that is significant. The turnover differential with Debo plus 25. Without Debo, -8. That's since Debo entered the league. So we all know that quarterbacks like a Josh Allen or a Mahomes or a Lamar Jackson can be worth 10 to 11 points in Las Vegas. The numbers tell you that Debo is worth a field goal. If you simply take Debo out of the Niners, he is a field goal. That would be the most valuable non-quarterback in the National Football League. No other player is worth 3 points. No defensive player, and even a Jamar Chase isn't worth that. So if you take quarterbacks out, and we know there's a sliding scale, Lamar's worth 10 or 11, Aaron Rodgers in his prime 10, and then, average guys 2, a backup maybe half a point 1. The numbers tell you, they're all here, that Debo is worth a field goal in a game where the line is what, 3.5 points? 7. I will take the Lions if Debo does not play. Backed by science, backed by data. It's just very interesting. How you view the Niners with Debo is creative, clever, and unpredictable. When he leaves, they are a one-deep threat, an old-school tight end, and a dominant running back with a great edge rusher. And a quarterback nobody truly trusts if you press them. The Garoppolo Raiders. Hi, everybody. It's me.
I think... Okay, I want to go back. I want to see the Packers, if the Packers, what happened with the Packers in Detroit recently. I want to take a look at that. But I think if Debo doesn't play for the 49ers, I think Detroit has a true, legit chance at winning. And I would actually... I'm not standing by this right now because I'm not prepared to make any decisions right now. But if you were like, you have to take a guess right now, I would maybe say Detroit. Like, I don't, it's not like I have this unquestionable trust in Detroit. I really don't. But I think if Debo's not, put it this way, we saw how Brock Purdy and the 49ers played against the Packers. And now the question is, and the Packers could have easily won that game. And yes, we want to say rain. And you know what? Maybe the rain is actually just legitimate kryptonite for Brock Purdy. And that may well be, right? Because he has smaller hands or whatever, and he just can't grip the ball. And that's fine, right? If that's his one weakness, and we just know, okay, he's not good in rain games, but he's great and amazing at all these other games, okay, that's fine. I could totally accept that. I really could. But let's just say that that's not necessarily the whole story, that he's just maybe, not the best quarterback we've ever seen. Dare I say, make that statement without people freaking out. We saw what he looked like against the Packers, and the 49ers looked like the Packers. And then the real question is do you think Detroit is better than the Packers? I think the Packers had the potential to be more elite than Detroit, or even the 49ers potentially for that matter, if their players if the Packers now rose to the occasion, right? Because they're so young and they're like a brand new team and they don't have these seasoned vets there. And so I think that they can grow into that. So the real question was, will they be able to reach those high levels this early on in their careers? And so to me, that was a question mark because you don't know when it's going to pop. I can easily see the Packers leading the charge next season. You just don't know what type of progress you make. So I think we saw the ceiling was honestly higher in that regard. I really, really do, which is why we saw them completely just demoralize the Cowboys. And so with the 49ers now going, and so the reason why I say that is that I don't necessarily see that with Detroit. I see Detroit being very, very consistent and very, very solid, and it's a great team overall, right? And so I don't think that the put it this way, the 49ers have blowout power where I think they could potentially blow out Detroit, but I think Detroit can actually win that game. And if it was a similar game to that of the 49ers Packers game, I think, the Detroit could win a close game against the 49ers, not unlike how Detroit won a close game with the Rams. So I think that Detroit has a legitimate shot at winning this game, especially if Debo is not playing. But in terms of Detroit Lions, having this ability to really like blow out the 49ers, I personally don't see that right now. And I don't know if I see it where a come from behind for Detroit. If Detroit's down by 10 with 12 minutes to go, I don't know. Outside of one of those situations that you just don't foresee coming, like a run back punt return, or a missed field goal, and now you get great field goal, field position or something like that. Outside of those very specific circumstances, a kickoff return where you return it to the other team's 30. It's like outside of that, I'm not seeing it. But if the score is like 10-0, 12 minutes to go, and Detroit now has the ball on their own 25, I'm just not necessarily saying, okay, Detroit's got this, they can do this. It's not to say that they can't do this, but I'm not like feeling like this is a 100% in the realm of possibility. I'm like, I don't know. Let's see what they got, especially because in that situation, Dan Campbell is going to be potentially doing some crazy stuff. And so you just don't know, which is why I think Detroit is so hard to predict, because you just don't know what Detroit's going to do. You don't know what type of calls Dan's going to make. Like, again, I could see it being first possession of the game, which he's done before. First possession of the game, and instead of a punt, you do a fake or whatever. And again, it either works, and now that changes the game completely, or it doesn't, and now that changes the game completely. So anyone who has confidence in knowing how that game is going to go, I don't really know how you could be confident. And the spread is interesting. I was confused because Colin said it was 3.5, but then the bottom part said it was 7. So I don't really get it. I don't know if that was like based off of Debo playing or not. I really don't know. But they pretty much are considering Detroit Lions just ever so slightly better than the Packers. Or they realize that the 49ers aren't as good as they were prior to that Packers game. Either way, the margin's tightened. But with that being said, do you think the Packers are better than Detroit? And if not, then that spread would be clearly wrong. So I would love to hear your thoughts on this one. Let me know in the comments below. Please don't forget to subscribe. As I said, we are building an amazing community here, and I would truly love to see you part of it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really, really does help with the visibility and the algorithm, and I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much, and see you next time.